Hey guys, I got some good news in the world of the Pokemon TCG. Your boy Ryan Swag got third at a League Cup. It's not a championship or regional tournament or something like that, but it is my first win. I got points on the board now for 2019, and it's got me feeling confident. Now if you've been following along with the series here, you might be thinking, Ryan Swag got third with SwagTips? Well, good news, bad news for Espeon. Your boy has graduated from the scrub zone. I don't play SwagTips anymore. I play ZoroGarb, which is good because I can still chill with my boy Garbodor, which is basically why I picked up the TCG in the first place, if you've really been following along here. But yeah, ZoroGarb, I'm really digging it. I've been doing a lot better at the card shop tournaments every week, and yeah, got third place at a League Cup. Mastermind here. Not first or second, but third. At any rate, when I was talking about my SwagTips deck before, some of you were wondering what the deck list was like, and I had plans to share that with you. But I tried doing it on the online game and my computer and recording things and doing the online game at the same time. That's not going to happen. That's just never going to happen. If I want to do it the online game, I could just like hold up my cell phone and try to record that way. But yeah, it wasn't working out. And at the time, I couldn't figure out how to do the top-down camera view thing. Well, now I figured that out. And I figured may as well show you the good deck list, the one I'm actually running, which is ZoroGarb. Some things I'm doing with it right now, things I have tested with it in the past, and things I am testing with it right now, leading up to the Open Invite / World Tournament. Here you go. So to start out, I'm running a basic 4/4 line of Zoroark, pretty standard for this deck list here to go 4/4. Don't know why you'd want to go any less than that. And then I am also running the 3-2-1 line of Trubbish. So 3 Trubbish, 3 Trash Lance, and 1 Garbotoxin. Next up we got the 3 Tapu Lele, which is pretty standard for this deck list, and 1 Oranguru. While ZoroGarb already has an advantage against the mirror matchup because I can shut down my opponent's abilities and I can get OHKOs in the late game with Garbodor, there have been too many aggressive Zoroark versus Zoroark matchups, especially ZoroGarb versus ZoroGarb matchups, where the Oranguru is just indispensable for winning that stall war. Additionally, I will admit I'm still a kind of a newbie player, and dealing with like Sylveon stall decks, heavy energy hate decks, stuff like that, very difficult for me to deal with and manage, and Oranguru just kind of shuts those decks down a bit and makes it a lot easier for me to manage my resources. Hence, resource management. Genius name right there. Now for the supporters, also pretty basic setup here. I'm running the 3 Ns. And one thing that's a little bit different from most lists is I'm running 2 Cynthias instead of a 4th N. And I'm running 2 Bridgets to help my setup there. Got 1 Sycamore and 1 Acerola. Really like the Acerola, helps with playing around with the Garbodors. I've actually had some good matchups against BuzzRock where I got my Garbodor set up and they're starting to get some light hits on it. Well, then I can just Acerola it up and then bring out my next Trubbish and then evolve it, and then it keeps dunking on you. Pretty nice for that revolving door of pain. That is this deck. And then finally, we got the 3 Guzmas, no more, no less. Can't really skimp out on these guys. So that's it for the supporter line there. The main reason why I chose to go with the 2nd Cynthia is I felt that after I got set up with the Bridgets, it'd be kind of difficult for me to get my draw support going. And just having that extra draw support really helps out. Like I'd have a setup where I have to choose, do I want to Lele a Bridget or Lele an N, Sycamore, Cynthia. So it's kind of a tough consideration there. And then if I'm going second, if I were to Lele and try to get a Cynthia out because I had very important cards in my hand that I couldn't use, well then I'd be forced to use the N, which would help my opponent refresh their hand. So I felt that having the 2nd Cynthia really clears up a lot of those small difficulties that this deck can run into. For the item cards, we have the basic 4 Ultra Balls, and once again the basic 4 Puzzles of Time. Didn't see that one coming, did you guys? Also quite standard for the list, I run 3 Field Blower, that way I can blow my opponents and I can blow myself. 3 Float Stones to get those Garbodors out of there and to help with my ability lock. 2 Choice Bands to help me out in the mirror. When I get Paralleled City down, my Zoroarks can still go in for the 2 HKO, and it can also help me get some OHKOs early on that I could otherwise be out of the reach of, such as using the Acid Spray on the Garbodor. If I've got the DCE and the Psychic Energy and the Choice Band, then I can OHKO Buzzwole, which is extremely helpful, and it comes up a little bit more often than you'd think, especially when you're up against a Buzzwole deck and they're getting set up and you're sitting there feeling like a chump. It can help you get out of that situation a little bit more nicely, especially if they're managing their items well. I also run 2 Parallel Cities, bet you didn't see that one coming. And I run the 2 E-Hammers because I am not running the Kartana-GX, and you definitely want that energy hate. Helps out immensely against the mirror matchup, and when you're up against the BuzzRock matchup, being able to knock off those strong and beast energies is really helpful, and your opponent sometimes doesn't see it coming. Got the Evo Soda so I can evolve anything, and the Mysterious Treasure to just kind of help me out overall. I can use it to search a Lele, to get the Bridget, to get the draw support, without having to burn 2 cards with an Ultra Ball, so that's always very nice. And if I want to evolve a Trubbish in a pinch, Mysterious Treasure lets me hunt down those specific Pokemon. I'm not sacrificing anything because I already have the Ultra Balls to search out the Zoroarks, so some people like to use that as a second Evo Soda, but running 1 Evo Soda with 1 Mysterious Treasure is just kind of becoming the standard now just because of its usefulness with Tapu Lele. And then finally, Rescue Stretcher, because busted card, everybody runs it, of course I'm going to run it. Keeps Oranguru in the deck and keeps the Garbodors running strong. Then for the final 7 cards, I run the 4 DCEs, just like everybody else, and 3 Psychic Energies, just like everybody else. I'm not a genius at this game, so I'm just going to follow what I know is good, and stick with that, right? Now this deck list is good. It got me 3rd place at a League Cup, and I know it's not the most super impressive thing in the universe, but it's my first big gain in the Pokemon TCG world, and it's got me feeling confident for the open invite. But this deck isn't flawless by any means whatsoever. It still has an extremely tough matchup against the BuzzRock, which is the hardest matchup for this deck in my opinion. And in the mirror, anything can happen anytime. If the Zoroark gets an advantage over you and starts donking you down, well, it's kind of hard to pick yourself up from that. There have been some changes to this deck list that I have been looking at and have been tinkering with. Just going to move these energies out of the way and I can show some of them off to you guys. So like anybody else looking at ZoroGarb, I've tried out the Kartana-GX with the unit energies, of course running the Stefan list right there. Overall, I don't think there is a huge difference between running a second hammer and a Kartana-GX, and then if you run Kartana-GX, of course you're going to be using the unit energies, so it's not that big of a difference. It does help out with my bench space that I don't have it, and the unit energies are enhanced hammerable, which has been a problem in some matchups. So I think overall, just sticking with the normal psychic energies and running the second hammer has been working out a little bit better for me than fussing around with all this fancy stuff over here. Leave the fancy stuff to the pros. I'm not quite a pro. Another card I've recently taken out is the Latios. Now the Latios is nice because it kind of helps you out in all matchups, but when I was really looking at it, like Latios as a whole, I kind of felt like it was more of a distraction. When I'm up against the BuzzRock matchup, I'm kind of worrying about fishing out that Latios right away to help me get that advantage, when I probably should be focusing on setting up Acid Spray on one of my Garbodors. Having Latios out of the deck, I have been focusing more on the Garbodors in the BuzzRock matchup because that's my main way of making through that deck, and it's been working out for me. So Latios, might throw it back in, might leave it out. Not 100% sure yet, there's no verdict on that, but I'm feeling pretty strong without it. And another change I've done is for a while I was playing Delinquent instead of the second Cynthia, And I like Delinquent because it just kind of donks your opponent's hand. If they're in the bad situation where they can get screwed over by Delinquent, well, then you just screwed them over with Delinquent. And if your opponent was already losing, well, now their face is even deeper in the mud. But the reason why I decided to phase it out is ultimately, at the end of the day, it's only helping you out when your opponent's face is already in the mud. If you already have the advantage, you just press the advantage even further with Delinquent. And I'd much rather have cards in my deck that help me get the advantage back once I start losing it. So for that reason, I decided to take Delinquent out and put in that second Cynthia. Another thing I tried for a while was running a 1-1 line of Shuppet and Banette-GX. When I'd get Banette-GX set up, oh gosh, it looks terrible on screen. Oh yeah, that full art boy. Sorry. So yeah, with Banette-GX, when I would get it set up, it would be super helpful against BuzzRock, and I'd just be slamming them fighting types left and right like it was nothing. But it didn't do anything for me against the mirror. It actually weakened me against the mirror. But the mirror is already kind of, contentious. Maybe I made that word up. But yeah, ultimately, I decided to take it out of the deck for the same reason why I wasn't jiving with the Latios too well or the Kartana-GX too well. It was just taking up bench space for this niche situation, and then I was focusing too much on trying to get Banette set up when I probably should just be setting up other things with my deck instead of focusing on the Banette. And then on top of that, it's a 1-1 line, so if one piece of the puzzle is in my prizes, well then I can't use any of the puzzle, and that's not helping me out against BuzzRock, now is it? So yeah, I decided to take it out, probably going to keep it out. Now there are some changes that I haven't tested out yet, and I don't think I'll have enough time to try them out before I get to Worlds. But things to consider, Reverse Valley, with that, then Zoroark can get the OHKO on Baby Buzz, which is kind of important, allowing it for that 130 neutral. We also have Weakness Policy, which also helps out against the BuzzRock matchup because my Zoroarks are no longer weak to Fighting type, so I can trade KOs with them instead of getting OHKO'd by them. But ultimately, I don't know if it does a whole lot for me against the mirror matchup or anything like that. It's just kind of a weird card that I think works out for the more control-specific Zoroark decks. Probably doesn't have a place in my list. Another thing to consider is a second Mysterious Treasure. One problem I keep running into is I'll get the Bridget set up, but I won't have a draw support. Or I'll have a draw support in my hand, but I want the Bridget first, but I don't have the Bridget. So running the second Mysterious Treasure would give me another out to Tapu Lele, which would help me kind of circumvent that issue. If I were to include it, I would replace it with the Cynthia there. So just another consistency kind of thing, another way to search the cards I need when I need them. So worth considering, probably will test it out tonight. Another card that I'm considering adding that would combo with the Mysterious Treasure is that Let Loose Marshadow. If other decks have the bench space for Latios and Kartana-GX, I think I could make the bench space for the Let Loose Marshadow, and the cool combo with the Let Loose Marshadow is it would allow me to play my supporter cards and get a draw support in for the turn. It'd also have the effect of potentially screwing over my opponents if they got a really nice hand, makes them reshuffle their hand, and now they ain't got nothing in their hand. They don't even have a draw support in their hand, and now they're stuck with whatever they got while I'm slaying away with my trades, wrecking them. So that's the idea with the Let Loose Marshadow. Big thing keeping me from the Let Loose Marshadow is the fact that I don't have it. I could probably trade one of my friends for it, or they could lend it to me. I'm sure they're fine with that. So yeah, just something to test out, something that's been rolling on the brain. Might add it into my deck. In lieu of Marshadow, there's also the consideration of Red Card, which has the effect of donking over my opponent, making them go to 4 cards that they weren't expecting to have, and if you play this in the early game, you can just straight up ruin someone. At my local card shop, we got the 3rd place at the Madison Regional, Jake, and he's been running this in his Ninja deck recently, and when it hits you, especially in the early game, picking yourself up from a red card can be really difficult, especially if you don't have your Zoroarks up. So, something I've been toying with in the back of my mind. Probably won't use it. We'll see what happens. But yeah, so that's my deck list. Those are the techs that I have tried and will be trying out before the open invites. I don't know, I'm kind of in to win it, hoping to at least make day 2. I already have some points under my belt, and that's more points than I had last season. So, Yeah, feeling pretty strong about it. Yeah, if you got any questions about this deck list, comment below, let me know. And if you're an experienced ZoroGarb player and you want to learn me right, well then give me the swag tips. Give Ryan Swag the swag tips. I got the swag tips when it comes to Pokemon Go, but in the Pokemon TCG, you know, I'm still like a 3 out of 5. Not a 4, not a 5. I'm still learning this game. And yeah, if you like this content, you want to see more like it, want to see me try some deck lists in the future, then subscribe to SwagTips, and I'll try to get that in for you. At any rate, thanks for watching my video. Swag.